When you think of beauty, what comes to mind? Maybe you picture flawless skin, sparkling eyes, or a symmetrical face. But what if I told you that, throughout history, ancient beauty standards were vastly different from what we consider beautiful today? And some of them will absolutely shock you. In fact, many of the beauty ideals from ancient cultures seem bizarre or even extreme to us. So buckle up, because we're about to take a fascinating journey through time, uncovering the shocking beauty standards that our ancestors held dear. Let's start with ancient Egypt. Today we think of Cleopatra as one of history's most iconic beauties, known for her elegance and charm. But did you know that Egyptians didn't just care about skin and face features? They had a unique obsession with perfume. The Egyptians would go to great lengths to smell good, and it was often a symbol of high status. But here's the kicker. They believed that body odor could affect a person's spiritual purity. So the rich would often cover their bodies in sweet-scented oils and perfumes, sometimes to the point of bathing in them. The idea of smelling pleasant wasn't just for luxury, it was a way of aligning with the gods. Imagine the upper class walking around smelling like a bouquet of roses, while the common folk weren't so lucky. Now let's fast forward to ancient China. Picture this: small feet, delicate and dainty, barely larger than a child's. To achieve this ideal, women would practice foot binding, a process that was painful and, unfortunately, lifelong. This ancient beauty standard lasted for over 1,000 years. Women's feet were tightly wrapped with cloth, breaking bones and deforming their feet in the process, all in the pursuit of beauty. A woman with bound feet was considered more elegant and desirable, and, as shocking as it sounds, these tiny feet were considered a sign of wealth and privilege. It's difficult to even imagine today, isn't it? How something as painful as foot binding could be viewed as beautiful. Yet it was widely accepted and even encouraged. The lengths people would go to achieve what was considered the perfect look, just to fit into society's ideal. Speaking of deformed beauty, let's talk about ancient Greece, the birthplace of philosophy, democracy, and perfectly symmetrical faces. You've heard it before: Greek statues with their flawless features and idealized bodies. But did you know the Greeks had a specific belief that beauty was directly linked to symmetry? A face with equal proportions was seen as the epitome of perfection. In fact, some philosophers and artists believed that symmetry was the key to a virtuous soul. Today we use computers and technology to measure symmetry, but the Greeks didn't need any fancy equipment. They were able to apply the golden ratio, a mathematical formula, to the human face to determine what was perfect. A face that adhered to this ratio was considered beautiful. So no wonder why we still see these proportions in modern art and architecture. It's almost like they knew the secret to timeless beauty. But if you think that's wild, wait until we talk about ancient Rome, where pale skin was all the rage. In modern times, many of us long for a tan, but the Romans had an entirely different ideal. Pale skin was the mark of the elite, a sign that you didn't have to work outdoors. The working class, who labored in the fields and under the hot sun, had darker skin from all that exposure. So if you had fair skin, it was a symbol of wealth and privilege. Roman women would go to extreme lengths to keep their skin as pale as possible, using lead-based cosmetics, which unfortunately were toxic, or even staying inside for long periods of time. But the most shocking part? These women would often apply a layer of chalk or white powder to their faces to give them an even paler, ghostly look. It sounds a bit dangerous, and it certainly was, but this pale face was considered the pinnacle of beauty. Let's not forget the Mayan civilization, where beauty took a completely different form. Stretching the head was seen as a beauty trend. Ancient Mayans would intentionally elongate their babies' skulls by binding their heads with boards. This practice started when children were just a few days old, and the skulls would slowly become more elongated over time. The result? A higher forehead and a more elongated shape, which was considered a mark of beauty, intelligence, and high social status. Strange, right? In a world where most of us want to preserve our natural shape, these ancient cultures were intentionally reshaping themselves in ways we could never imagine. finally, let's talk about ancient Japan, where women had an entirely different approach to beauty that may sound unsettling to some. In feudal Japan, geisha and noblewomen practiced a unique form of beauty that included painted white faces. But it wasn't just about beauty, it was about distinction. They would cover their faces in white lead powder, and their eyebrows would be shaved off and redrawn in a higher position to give the appearance of innocence. Why the pale face? It signified purity, grace, and social standing. A white face, along with a distinctive red lip, was the epitome of beauty and sophistication. These ancient beauty standards show us just how different our perceptions of beauty were, and still are. What was considered beautiful in one time or place might seem unimaginable today. But here's the thing, beauty is fluid. It changes with time, culture, and society. What's shocking to us now may one day become the next big thing. And maybe, just maybe, the most important beauty standard we should focus on today is the belief that true beauty comes from within. But that's a conversation for another time. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Which of these ancient beauty standards shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more amazing stories from the past. Until next time, stay curious.